Welcome to this episode of Love That For You, the podcast where we dive into the stories that shape us and celebrate the moments that make us who we are. I'm your host, Morgan Leatherwood, a Charlotte-based professional photographer with a passion for genuine connections. Get ready for a conversation that's both lighthearted and deeply insightful. As we journey through each episode, you'll witness the power of storytelling in its purest form. Whether we're discussing pivotal life moments, overcoming challenges, or celebrating achievements, every story will leave you saying, "Love that for you." It's a phrase that encapsulates our genuine enthusiasm for the triumphs of others and the joy that radiates from their successes. You could be anywhere, listening to anything, but you're here, and I love that for you. Hey friends, before we jump into our conversation, I just wanted to remind you, if you don't know already, I actually host another podcast called Queen City Connect. This is a podcast that celebrates the dreamers, the doers, and the change makers of Charlotte, North Carolina. If that sounds like something that would interest you, I would love for you to go check it out on any podcast platform, even the one you're listening to right now. We would absolutely love that. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, rate and review, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. We also have an Instagram page that you can follow along to see who all of the incredible small business owners and nonprofits and creatives that make up Charlotte, North Carolina are at. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, we would love for you to listen in. Thanks, everyone. You're here on the Love That For You podcast, Mackenzie Bridges.
Yes, I am. So excited.
I'm so excited that you're here. I cannot wait. I've just genuinely enjoyed getting to know you.
Oh, same.
And we've been in community group. Is this our second year together?
Yes, we're starting year 2, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yes.
That sounds right. Because I joined like half of the year before that with like a different leader, but we've kind of merged. So some of the people have stayed the same, but I'm glad this community group is mainly the same people.
Yes. Yes.
It makes like going deep and like building community and just like life on life. I feel like it just makes it a little bit more cohesive.
It's amazing. I loved our just last Tuesday when we had just girl time, and we love the boys, but sometimes it's nice to get rid of them. Just be with the girls, and it's just so fun to jump right into conversation because we all kind of know what's going on in each other's lives, but you can go even deeper, which is amazing.
Well, what I love about you is that you are in the faith space, if I can say that, in multiple capacities. And we definitely want to hear about all those things. But I'm also just like friend to friend curious, like, because there's probably a lot of people listening who either don't go to church or maybe they do go to church, but their church does not have a like small group or community group option. I'm curious, like, what has community group done for you and your faith? Like, have you seen it help? Like, what has that done for you?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like I've been in groups all throughout my life, like in different places, some within a church context, some maybe more like a parachurch organization. But this has been a really cool season because this is the first time I've ever been in a group with my husband. So I've been in so many women's groups. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like the queen of girl hangs, women's ministry, all those things. And this is like really the first time, there was a couple times in college, but really the first time being in kind of this co-ed space.
Right.
And doing it with my husband. So we've been married for like a year and a half, I guess.
Okay.
And so very quickly we were like, okay, we want to be in community together with other couples and with other single people, and just like through our church kind of be in that community context together. And so I think that's been really cool and really fun and really stretching.
Yeah.
Because every time we get home from group, it's really fun to have someone to kind of debrief it with. And someone who,
I get in the car and call people, and I'm like, I just need to like talk through what's happening, because I do a Bible study on Tuesday mornings currently, and then we have community group. So I get home and I'm just like, it's been a day, you know,
so much doing in here.
You need a whole community group to debrief your community group. You know,
you're so right. You're so right. And I remember my single days, it was like my mom, my sister, just like my like 5 people, whoever answered. I was like, oh, finally I can tell somebody about this. But yeah, so I think that's been really cool. And Tyler and I really struggled finding a church here in Charlotte. We both just loved our churches that we came from. I lived in Nashville. He lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so it's just kind of hard to come together and then find a church that fits. And so at some point we just kind of came to this notion of like, you know, what matters more than anything is we want to be in community.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just settled on that, and we're like, we want to be in community. And Mercy, the church we go to, is like the first place where I just felt like the door opened wide. Yeah. And I feel like our community group in particular, people have been more committed than any other group I've ever been a part of. Like people really don't miss, they show up. Like, and if you show up, if you can't show up, we know why you can't show up. Yeah. And it's just been a really special group where I feel like we're all very different, but it's fun to come together and to learn about different pieces of God's heart through people in community. And I'm challenged by it. I'm encouraged by it. And it's been a really special season. It hasn't been like perfect and easy, but I look back like, we've been in group for over a year now. And I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful and grateful that we just plugged in, stayed, stuck with it. And it's been incredible.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And like you said, like it's not perfect and easy, and like neither is life. Yeah. And it's because life is so messy and hard that it's good to come together. And it's not like a hyper spiritual moment. I mean, we discussed messages from the previous Sunday. It's more of a hey, how literally the other night, we didn't even get to anything related to Sunday. It was just how are you doing? And then an hour and a half later, we were like, okay, guess we need to pray and go home. So just having that touch point has been a blessing for me too. Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, you've shared a little bit. Go ahead and share with us, who are you? Who is Mac? Where did you come from? Where are you going?
That's a good question.
Yeah, as much or little as you want, but just kind of your upbringing, college, and then kind of what you're doing right now.
Yes, absolutely. So I was born in North Carolina, and my dad is a pastor. And so we moved around a lot. Basically, every 4 to 5 years, he would get moved to a new church. And so I was very used to starting over and being the new girl. And I kind of thrived on it. I kind of loved it. I think when you're a pastor's kid, you kind of automatically have a connection into the community through the church. So that kind of helped out at the process of transition every time. But I'm the youngest of 4 kids, so I'm a big family girl. My family is everything to me. It was just really special growing up. I love my parents. I feel like they're just 2 of the best people on the planet.
You speak so highly of them. I love it.
I really do. I really do. And it's because I see it. I think it's really fun being a pastor's kid because I saw my dad, the person he was, in the pulpit every week is the same person he was at home behind closed doors as a dad and as a husband and as a friend. And so I just had a really great experience with that. But I went to college originally to be a country singer, which sounds hilarious.
Love it. Go ahead. Sing us a song.
Absolutely not. I'm fully retired.
But she is on Spotify and we're keeping that in.
Yeah.
We'll link it.
It's like my party trick, But
that's amazing.
Yes. I went to Belmont
University. We have very different party tricks, but I'm here for it. Go ahead. Keep going.
I went to Belmont University, which is in Nashville, and was a songwriting major. And I wanted to truly be a country singer, which is hilarious to think about now. But that was so much of my identity and who I was through high school and then early days of college. And yet at the same time, I had this strong faith and I wanted to really grow in my relationship with Jesus. So at the end of my freshman year, I met this girl. Her name also happens to be Mackenzie. We're both named Mackenzie. And we went to dinner one night, and it was just one of those dinners where you're sitting across the table from someone and you're like, this matters.
This is going to stick.
Yeah. You're like, this is important. We need to pay attention to this. And so she and I kind of kept in touch over the summer because we went to dinner the very last night of freshman year, which is hilarious that we missed each other all throughout the beginning of the year.
Wow.
But we stayed in touch over the summer, and then sophomore year, got to just kind of put it on my heart over the summer to want to start a little Bible study for freshman girls because I met amazing friends, but I felt like I was kind of had all these friends who were believers and who were Christians, but we weren't really doing life together in the sense of talking about our faith and what was Jesus doing in our life. And so I really wanted to create a space for that in my life and create a space for what I didn't have my freshman year. And so I asked this girl, Mackenzie, if she wanted to start this Bible study with me. And she was like, yes, absolutely. And then hilariously, we took it very seriously. It wasn't casual from the start.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of was.
I love that.
But we were just I don't know, it just felt like God was doing something in it from the very early days. And so we just started inviting girls on our campus. We're both pretty extroverted. And so just started hey, we're starting this Bible study. You should come.
Yeah.
And
like at your campus that you were at.
Yes, just at Belmont.
And was it like a weekly thing or?
Yeah, so it was weekly. We'd meet weekly for like actual Bible study. And then we really wanted it to be about community. So we would plan like community hangouts. We would plan worship nights and we would plan service events. Amazing. And then we started doing these things called Delight dates. We named the Bible study Delight. Delight dates, which would be like you get paired up with somebody from your group and like you go get coffee with them, get to know them, hang out with them. So really about community. And by the end of my sophomore year, we had about 100 girls coming each week, which was crazy.
That's insane.
Because at this university, even though it's a Christian university, like there weren't a ton of campus ministries, and there weren't a ton of campus ministries that were like actually bringing people in.
Right.
So this little Bible study kind of turned into the biggest campus ministry on our campus.
And I feel like a lot of campus ministries, and this is not like a downplay on them, but it's a lot of like maybe older people coming in, whereas you were like, hey, we are you. Like we are in this too. We go to this college. We are taking the classes. And I feel like that's just another level of depth of like, we're in this with you, but like, let us guide how this moves forward.
It's so true. And that was what was so amazing about it was we were a hot mess. Like we had no clue what we were doing.
I love it.
But I remember being so struck that year by sitting down or just being in our space. We used to meet in the bell tower on our campus.
Okay.
And so it was this like pretty small room that we would cram girls into. And there was like stairs that led up to the bells and girls would like line the staircase. It was a beautiful picture. Yeah. But I remember someone would share and kind of open up and get really vulnerable and honest about what they were going through. And I remember it just being like every girl in the room being like, oh my goodness, me too. And I thought I was the only one. Mm-hmm. And so from the early days, it was marked by this like really beautiful kind of messy vulnerability that just led to some incredible moments of freedom, incredible moments of the Spirit moving. And we just knew by the end of my sophomore year, like, okay, this is special and this is different. And God was so in this because we had no plans. Like it was just like, he just swung wide open the door for just like his Spirit to move on our campus through women. And so we just kind of started dreaming, what would it look like to do this on other campuses? Yeah. And Ken's and I kind of just like any free moment we had in college, we would get together and like work on this dream. And so today we have Delight chapters on over 200 college campuses, which is really fun and awesome. So
that's incredible.
That's really fun and sweet. So that's a huge part of my life and my story.
Yeah,
and all things.
I bet.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say too, like you mentioned, you know, we didn't know what we were doing. We were open, just following God. And I just think like that's where God always wants us.
Yeah.
Like in any moment where we feel like we have it together, we know what that next plan is. And I'm not against making a plan, but like God thrives when we say like, open hands, do with this what you want, you know? And you were almost forced into that position because you're like, we have no other option.
Yeah. Yep.
And like, look what he did. Because had you had a plan of like, hey, Kens, we're going to make this great here and put all of your, you know, eggs in that one basket. And God's like, no, I want this to go to hundreds of campuses. Yeah. But because you had your open hands, that like the Lord was able to move. And I just feel like that is hopefully an encouragement to you of like, wow, look what God did. But also for like anyone listening of these are the plans that I want and these are the goals that I have. That's great. But don't limit what God can do because you don't even know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's so true. I think there's something so fun about dreaming with God. And, so often we think it starts with this huge plan and like 5-step action plan when I really believe it starts with just like a small step of obedience. Yeah. I think about it, I'm like, what if I would have ignored the like nudge to go to dinner with Ken's or the nudge to like start this Bible study? Like it was just one tiny step of like, okay, God, I sense you speaking and I want to say yes. I don't know how to say yes. I don't know what that looks like, but then what God does and you just kind of hold on and you're like, okay, Lord,
let's do this.
Where are we going? Where are we taking this? But it has been like the greatest honor of my life, kind of getting to steward and shepherd that organization and just, like I said, hold on to what God was doing. So.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. So what is Delight today? So it's happening in campuses all over. Is it still the same type of Bible study emphasis for women in, like, what is it today?
Yes, absolutely. So it looks very similar to how it looked in the early days, still centered around vulnerability, around community, around really doing life together. And so all of our chapters, what I love too, is they're all still student led. There's no like staff people who move into the campus and make it happen. Yeah. They're all led by a leadership team of 5 to 10 women on their campus. And then I'd say the only real big change is in the early days, we had no curriculum that we were going through. We would just like randomly pick a Bible study.
God, let's sing a song together.
But now we have an incredible team who works on our curriculum, and it's all either in the spring, we walk through a book of the Bible and kind of pull out things from there. And then in the fall, it's called Stories in Scripture. And so it's stories of women in college going through real life things and then kind of pulling out topics from that and then looking to the Word for what the Word says about that. So it's really cool. The goal is to create these, you know, really real, vulnerable conversations. And because it's not a church, like at Delight, we so believe in like, we want women to be a part of their local churches. So we kind of get to, you know, we don't have to teach as much on the like theology and doctrine piece and really get to like, okay, let's build community, kind of what we do in our community group. Like, let's build community. Yeah. Let's go deep here because you need, like, I really believe, like I tell people all the time, it's really like who you hang out with in college those first couple weeks can so much shape who you become. And
I'm also curious too, you're telling these stories and I'm thinking back to like my freshman year, freshman in college, Morgan. It was a sight. But I felt this like fervency with my friends to just like be on fire for the Lord. And like, I remember we started just like a weekly, like we would meet at one of the teachers' like houses that like was on the campus. And we would go and we would sing and we would read our Bibles and we would talk. And I mean, it is not like a Delight thing today, but in that moment, it was so like rich for me to sit with those friends. Several of those friends I still am very close with today.
Oh my goodness.
So like, what is it about 18 and 19-year-olds that is that normal for 18 and 19-year-olds to like start to get serious about their faith? Like, cause I felt that too. What is happening? And I feel like even today in 2023, we're seeing so much of like these revivals kick out and it's not in these congregations with 60-year-olds. And it might be, and praise God for that, but like it's in these colleges with these 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So like, what is happening? Like, what's your insight on like teenagers these days and what they're doing with the gospel?
Oh my goodness. I love it because I actually am currently working in high school ministry, like just with my husband for fun on the side. But I love kind of seeing the difference in high school to college. And I think so much of it is when you get to college, you are stripped of every comfort you've ever had, of every like easy piece of identity you've ever had. Like everything kind of changes in a matter of weeks, in a matter of months. Who you've always been suddenly kind of comes into question because you, for the first time, are making your own decisions. You don't have your parents there. You're being told you need to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And it's this beautiful moment where I think you come to the end of yourself and you're searching. Like, I think college students are searching for something, and a lot of them find what they're searching for in, you know, a party scene and a boyfriend and all of these things. But then a lot of them are finding what they're looking for in a relationship with Jesus, in community. And when that happens, I just think it's such a raw, beautiful, it's not been tapped by like Christian culture. And it's just this like raw, like passion for the Lord. And what I see in college students and what I love about like what we get to do at Delight is we get to like say yes to college students who are like, I'm on fire for Jesus. I want to make a difference on my campus. How do I do that? We get to say, hey, here's some tools in your hands. Go run, go do what God has called you to do on your campus. And then to watch them create and build community that is centered on Jesus, not because like we gave them a formula, but just because we gave them a couple tools in their hands to go and do that has been like the biggest joy of my life because I think college students are amazing and their best. Yes, they have like, you know, they don't always know the perfect answers or things like that. But I think even in that, that's so beautiful and so cool. And so it's really fun what's happening on college campuses in both these big high moments that we're seeing of moments of, you know, revival or different like baptism nights sparking out and the moments you're not seeing where there are 10 girls gathered together in a dorm room, like choosing to spend their Friday nights praying over each other.
And we can't neglect that because like some of the most formative times in my life, I did not have an I don't even know if Instagram was a thing. And I was sitting across from girls just pouring our hearts out to the Lord. And that's not something that is on social media. Maybe it's a good thing that wasn't, but like those are the moments that matter. So there's someone listening right now who she either is in college or maybe she's in high school and she's just like, I want to have a solid relationship with the Lord. Or maybe there's a mom listening with a daughter who's about to go to college and they're like, I want this. What is the method of like, what are these tools you're talking about? How can people get hands on whatever it is that we can do to further their relationship with the Lord?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I love my Delight team. They're like the most amazing girl squad on the planet. But basically, if you head to delightministries.com, you can find out all about what we do. And there are two kind of main buttons on the website that I tell people about. The first is to find a Delight chapter. So there's a map of the entire country. And like I said, there's over 200 chapters on college campuses. So first to see like, is there one at my school? Is there one at the school I'm looking into? And then knowing that like there's links on there that you can immediately plug into those communities. And then second, if you find out there's not a Delight at your school or you're going to a school and you were like, oh my goodness, I want to bring this to my campus. There's a button called Start a Delight and you get connected with an amazing coach who will literally walk you through the entire process and give you all these resources, connect you with other girls who are also currently going through the process. And then we do a ton of like leadership training and development and things like that. But it is so fun. Like I don't work full time with Delight anymore, but I'm maybe more obsessed than ever.
Heart? Yeah.
And like the biggest cheerleader of it. And it is just such an incredible organization. And then if you maybe are already a part of a ministry and organization on your campus, there are just tons of resources that we have too for college students who maybe can't be a part of a Delight chapter, but still want to tap in there.
I love everything you're doing. I think that that's so helpful for people now to have like a tangible way to go visit that website, go get involved. If there's not one at your campus, you can start one. How exciting is that? And it literally takes one person being like, hey, I think we need this. And then go find your friend and be like, do you think we can start this together? And I mean, even if it's just you and a friend, I mean, like start there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like we said earlier, keep your hands open, see what God will do. So I love that.
True.
So Mac, what does today look like for you? Like, what are you doing these days? Are you you said you're with high schoolers. I know you're writing a little bit. Like, what does a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday look like for you?
Yes. Okay. So a couple years ago, Ken's the same girl I started Delight with, which we go by Mac and Ken's because we're both named Mackenzie.
That's fantastic.
So I'm technically Mac. She's Ken's. I got like a new name when we started Delight, which is hilarious. But Ken's and I
Wait, you didn't go by Mac before Delight?
Like kind of, but
okay.
I was Mac, Ken's, Kenzie, Mackenzie. I had all the names. So, but now it's like I'm truly Mac, which is funny. But so I think it was like about 3 years ago, Ken's and I started like a sister organization to Delight called For the Girl. And really the heartbeat there was we were just seeing women, younger girls and older girls who are graduating from Delight, just kind of saying, okay, when I'm done with Delight or if I'm not in Delight, like what else is there for me? And we really wanted to equip women with resources to just encounter Jesus in their everyday. What does it look like to meet with Jesus, to meet with him face to face when you're in your bedroom on a Thursday night or a Monday morning? Like, what can that look like? And so we started writing Bible studies specifically like for kind of, I would say like they're probably they can lean to high school, but we kind of write them for women in their 20s. That's kind of like our target market because that's where we were for most of it. I just turned 30, so
welcome.
We're expanding as we go.
I'm only 31, so I'm not that far ahead of you, but I don't know about you, but I already feel like I love my 30s so much more than I did my 20s.
Oh, I'm loving 30s. Yeah. I loved my 20s too. So
yes, I've loved every decade. I'm all about living to the fullest, no regrets.
Yeah.
And
I struggled when I turned 27. Okay. That was my year that I was like, had like the crisis of like, okay, wait, I'm not where I thought I was going to be. Yep. But then like 28, 29, 30, I've been like, this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's
26 funny. Was my like.
That was your year?
I had a breakdown. I was like, I'm in my late 20s. what am I doing?
And isn't that funny? 26 seems so young now.
Oh my goodness. What I would give. Actually, no, I'm good. 31 is great. I'm like, I know. And people who, I have friends that are 40 in their 40s now, and they're like, 40's the best. I feel like I just know who I am. I don't give a crap what people say. Like, I'm just living my life.
40s, I think, is
and I'm like,
great.
that sounds great. But it's like, how can I embrace that mentality now? Because I want that now.
Yeah.
And I feel like
we got that.
We're both pretty much there, you know?
Yeah, we're doing our things. You know, I love it. That's funny. But yes, okay, so for the girl, we wanted to create resources for women in their 20s. And so we write Bible studies, and then we also have a podcast. And then kind of just like, we love to facilitate, again, little steps of obedience. So just like, hey, girl, you that's 25, that is like, just moved to a new city. Start a Bible study with some few friends. Go to that coffee shop, hang out, talk about what God's doing in your life. And so our resources are all kind of designed to help create and cultivate spaces like that and community like that. And so it's been so fun. It's allowed me to have more freedom. I stepped away from full-time Delight back in January of this year. So it hasn't even been a year. And Kenz and I kind of get to work on Delight, or for the girl, more of like a part-time perspective, which has been really great because we're kind of entering into new seasons of life. She just had a baby, you know, I just got married. And so it's kind of fun to have some space to do other things because we started Delight so young, and kind of like hit the grind at an early age. So it's been like,
we can kind of go a little slower. Tell us some of the topics that For the Girl has, because there's lots of different studies that you guys have done.
Yes, so many studies. Oh my goodness, I have so many favorites. One of my favorites is we have a study called Freedom Looks Good on You. It's all about stepping into freedom in 6 areas that most of us have felt some sort of like chains in. Maybe it's like pride, maybe it's comparison, maybe it's rejection, different things like that. So it's an incredible study. I love that one. It really walks you through the word, and it's perfect to do in a group. We have another study called In My Feels, which is all about feelings and emotions and how we can experience intimacy with God through bringing all of these feelings and emotions to Him and letting Him speak His truth into them. That's an amazing study. Really love that one. We just came out with one called the Dating Devo. That is all about singleness, dating, and relationships, and how to navigate those like with Jesus. I think sometimes we think they're separate categories, or we feel like burnt out on bringing this desire to God. And we're like, God, how do I do this time after time? And it's just a really sweet journey of walking you through, what does it look like to bring your fears, to bring those moments of rejection, to bring your history and your baggage to Jesus, and to really do all of that with Him. And so that's a really fun one too. And then we have a lot more.
Yeah. I love how just like all over the map, and these topics I feel like are current topics, something that every girl in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s are going to face, but they go so much deeper, like the freedom. Like, we all need to see what's holding us back from living our free life that we have in Christ. You know, I really love that. I'm thinking right now about maybe there's someone listening, even myself, or someone a little bit more mature in their life who is not really pouring in to high schoolers or college age students, but wants to. What is a way that we could do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many ways to do this. I was telling Morgan beforehand, I'm like a rule breaker, not a rule follower, which what I mean by that is like, I love to break the status quo. Like, I just love to not do what everybody else is doing. But I think there's so many ways that you can do this. And I think you have to stay so true to how God made you and wired you. So right now, for what that looks like for me, is my husband and I are young life leaders, which is beyond out of my comfort zone. It was a ministry that was really shaped my husband, and I wanted to do something with him. And
I love listening to him talk about it. He is just so passionate and fired up about it. You are as well, but listening to him,
he's on a different level. Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's been really fun and really, really sweet. Young life, you have to be like ridiculous. Like, you're like wild, crazy, fun. Like, you're going to the football games on Friday nights and you're getting in the student section, and like, you just have to put yourself out there time and time again. And it's really beautiful, and I've loved it, and it's been awesome. And it's been really stretching and challenging for me in this season in a really cool way. But then there's been seasons of my life where, because I would say that is like me intentionally challenging myself, where there are other things that I'm like, that's my sweet spot. And for me, like I said, I'm a girl's girl. And so what I love about our studies is there's been so many seasons where I've just said, hey, invited a few girls into my home, or let's meet at this coffee shop and let's just go through this study together and let's just see what God does. And so these resources are literally designed to do that. If you were a woman in your 30s, a woman in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you just kind of ask God, would you put a couple girls in my heart? I want to invite them in to do this. Girls are desperate for discipleship. Yeah. Desperate for discipleship. They might not even know it, but I promise you that they are.
They either don't realize it, but they subconsciously are, or they do realize it and they don't know what to say or who to ask.
Yeah. And they're afraid of rejection or disappointment. And so I think it's so beautiful when older women say, hey, I want to do this and I see what God's doing in you and I want to invite you into this. I think it means the world. And then I think you can ask for consistency and you can ask that like, hey, if we're going to do this, like I ask that you would show up, you would do the study and like, let's just really press into what God wants to do. And that might just be a one-on-one. It doesn't even have to be a group. So so I think there's been, I'm doing it more formally through Young Life, but I think you can do it more casually through discipleship or just a little group in your home with your girlfriends, whatever that needs to look like. And so I just believe like, even if it's not going through a study, even if it's just like, you know what, every Tuesday I go to Costco and there's a girl that's been on my heart and I'm going to invite her into my life. And I'm going to say, hey, Tuesdays, you want to go to Costco with me? And I want to just ask you questions about what God's doing in your heart. To me, that is ministry and discipleship. And it doesn't mean so many girls think discipleship means you have to go to a coffee shop and sit down.
You're leading a discussion, get out your highlighters and pens. That is so encouraging. That's something that I was just listening to a speaker say yesterday morning is like, so often we just need to open our eyes and look who's around us because more often than not, if you open your eyes and just look at the people around you, you're going to be able to find someone. And of course, being like, God, open my eyes, show me. And he will. So be careful if you pray that because he will. That's so encouraging. Where can people find For the Girl on socials, website, and everything?
Yes. So our website is forthegirl.com. And then our Instagram is like For the Girl with several underscores. I can't even remember what it is. It's a lot of them.
Type it in. You'll find it.
You'll find us. Yes. And we're ridiculous on social media. It's like Ken's and I are a hot mess. Still to this day.
You're so fun.
Haven't grown out of it.
And you should never grow out of it. And the merch is fire.
Yeah. So, we have fun merch. Yes.
Yeah, yes. That's so fun. Yeah. Is there anything else that we haven't said that we need to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think we've covered. I mean, I could sit here for 3 hours and just talk about like what God's doing in our generation and in our world and everything. But maybe we need a part 2.
Yes, always.
Well, this has been so exciting. I have one final question. I'm asking all of my guests on this show. Get ready for it. Because the show is called Love That For You, what is something that you're loving right now?
Okay, yes. What am I loving right now? I'm like a lover of things. Like I obsess. I have obsessions.
Sure, same.
And then need to tell everybody about them. And this is hilarious. I don't know if this fits the categories,
but
it's
going to be perfect.
I have been loving Jersey Mike's recently.
Let's talk about it. Yes.
Like, okay, so Tuesdays, they have this special where, because like when I go, sometimes my sandwich is like $10. And then if you're going to add like the chips and a drink, it's like, you're like, okay, this isn't even cheap. But Tuesdays, it's like $8.25 for the full combo.
Love that.
No matter, and you can get the sub in a tub or the sandwich. And I love the sub in a tub. And okay, so also I'm currently pregnant right now.
Woo-woo!
And you can get they have hot sandwiches. So you can get like a chicken Philly.
And that's what you're craving.
Literally, I just have like a deep love for Jersey Mike's right now.
Hey.
So
like, would you compare it to like a Firehouse or Subway, or are you like, no, it's on its own level?
It's better than all the other ones. You know,
you heard it here first.
Seriously,
folks.
like I'm sure there's some other like local sandwich shops that beat Jersey Mike's, but I'm just telling you. Okay, have you ever gotten a sub in a tub either?
No, I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of that?
Never heard of sub in a tub.
On days where you're trying to like be a little bit healthier, they literally like cut up the meat and everything, and then it's like lettuce, tomato.
So it's like no bun,
and it's like a little salad. And it's amazing. And you can still get like toppings and all the things on it. And it's a great little hack of life. Right?
We'll go there.
I'm telling you, Morgan, just you got to go.
Yeah.
Have you never been to Jersey Mike's?
Wow. Okay. Feeling shame on my own podcast.
Have you?
I have probably years ago.
Okay. It's just been
I'm
a
big Firehouse Subs person. We have one right here.
Okay. I think you need to rediscover Jersey Mike's.
Okay, I will, Mac. Thank you.
I told you I get obsessed.
I love it. I'm here for it. I love that for you.
Thank you.
I love this conversation so much. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Sharing about you and what you're doing right now. So everyone go follow all the accounts, go check out the websites, and we're rooting for you. You're incredible.
Same for you. Love you.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Love That For You. As always, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who shares their incredible story with us. If this story resonated with you, don't hesitate to reach out and let them know. Remember, we're all about celebrating the victories big and small. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Keep spreading those positive vibes and saying, love that for you. Until next time, friends, I'm Morgan Leatherwood, reminding you to embrace your own story and find joy in the journeys of others.